Welcome back, Chiefs fans. Almost timed it right with when we're coming back on. The Tennessee Titans are on the board, and we're going to mop up this Chiefs draft. Knock on wood, unless something crazy happens in the last couple of rounds with the 5th pick for the Kansas City Chiefs. We're back with Dan Harms from Arrowhead, guys, with Matt Derrick from Chiefs Digest, and the author of this fabulous little contraption called At Last. You can get this at triumphbooks.com and use the code LOCKED25. You get 25% off of this thing. I mean, and it's gorgeous. I want to know who your photo editor was, because that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, the photos are great, and I had nothing to do with them, so that's why they are great. And bless their hearts, there is a mistake in there. Anybody's going to jump on me and everything. There is a miscaptioned photo from the Super Bowl that went in, and hey, give everybody. I unfortunately didn't see it. I probably wouldn't have caught it in any way at 4:00 in the morning.
Right.
But yes, at one point, yeah, Anthony Sherman's identified as Travis Kelce, and people give me grief for that one. But
in spirit, they're the same guy. I mean, it's okay.
And you know what? To the editor's credit, I mean, actually, the way the photo looked, you did look at it pretty closely. You could think they might be the same guy. So,
a couple of things since last round. As Larrell Murchison just went off the board, I was thinking he might be an option here for the Chiefs. A couple of more DBs. Jason Strobridge is one guy I thought might fit the Chiefs as a developmental, tweener end guy. He went off the board. Bryce Hall, that we've been talking about all weekend long, finally went. Got to feel that it's the ankle that's really held him back to this point. So the Chiefs are wide open at this point. Anything could happen. I'm still leaning towards secondary. Matt, what do you think?
You know what? I think I'm warming up to the idea that this could be a receiver. They're continuing to throw effort at offense, and that it is an area where they could actually use some bodies, especially since they need to be preparing for the idea that next year they're not going to have Sammy Watkins or DeMarcus Robinson. So yeah, I'm warming up to the idea that, especially that you probably can be getting, what might be a normally upper 4th, round pick here at this point. I mean, you could be getting a really good value at this spot.
Yeah, Dan, I know you have one receiver in particular, but who'd you be looking at?
Yeah, I think it's probably. I think they might throw a couple of bodies at corner. They got Snead, so they might take another chance maybe at a guy like I forget his name out of Lamar Jackson. I forget that name. Go figure. We just talked about him. So yeah, I think that they could definitely look at that. And then I think I know I'm a Michigan fan, so I've got to watch Jonathan Peoples-Jones through his college career, and even though some of the he's definitely got some issues to work through, he's one of those guys that you take the shot on the athleticism and the upside with him. So I think that that's something that you give him a year in the offense, and it's definitely a possibility he could help replace some of that production that we're getting out of Sammy Watkins, and DeMarcus Robinson. So I would lean towards cornerback or secondary or wide receiver at this point.
And his teammate Lavert Hill, I think, is an outside option there, backing up a secondary cornerback. Isang Bassi, a nickel corner is another option in there. A lot of developmental defensive linemen might go a little bit local. I think Khalil Davis could be an option there. But, Matt, the advantage of this is, despite some question marks about the order that they went in, the Chiefs have addressed what we felt were the majority of their needs going into this draft. It really leaves them wide open, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, we ticked off what the 4 biggest needs were, and they've hit them at this point. So they have put themselves in the spot here in the 5th round. They really can go best available athlete. I'm glad you mentioned defensive line, because I do think that that's a possibility. That's another one of those groups that Brett Veach believes that you just can't get enough guys that can cover in the back end, and you can't get enough guys that can go after the quarterback on the front end. So that's a possibility, because, there are a couple of names maybe they're at the top, maybe not premier edge rusher types, but, maybe some guys that could provide you at least a little bit of depth.
I think so too. A lot of tweeners at this point. I think the edge guys are mostly, 3-4 outside backer types, but Khalil Davis, his brother Carlos, I think will be a UDFA. I think a guy that's really been low on a lot of boards, but I've heard his name pep up a couple of times lately, is Tyler Clark out of Georgia. Mm-hmm. Big body guy, like another one that you can try to mold into that naughty role, but is a little more explosive. Let's see. There's a couple of questions in here too. Opinions on Thaddeus Moss, Dan? A lot of fans looking for him.
Yeah, I've watched quite a bit of him because I've seen tons of the LSU offense tape, and I like his blocking ability. He's an excellent pass protection and run blocking tight end. I don't see much athletic upside with him. He's 6'1". He's a bit on the shorter side, and I think we want to see those athletic tight ends, a la Travis Kelce, maybe more of the Ricky Seals-Jones type, and bringing them in to develop them as more receiving threats. And I'm not sure that he can develop into that kind of a threat at the next level. I see him more of a blocking tight end.
For all of you asking, Prince Tega Wango, I think the injury history for him is what's keeping him out of here. I don't think he's really going to be an option. Danilo DiGiulio has joined us. Thank you very much. I actually think I said it right that time, right, man? And now he's gone. So, of course, evidently I did not.
Bye.
So the Chiefs are on the clock currently. They have just begun their time allotment.
Right.
And amazingly enough, they haven't put a pick in yet. They've been so fast all weekend long. And then there's Danilo back. Hopefully,
you right said it, and I lost you for a second. So I'll give you credit for that one. I don't know what you said, but I'll just say you said it right.
I think I was on target. We'll find out here. But so the Chiefs just went on the clock. Danilo, anybody you're looking for in particular here with the 5th pick?
You know what? I was just going to open the board that I'm now afraid of, because I just did a 10-minute segment welcoming Bryce Hall to the Chiefs, because the Bleacher Report board posted Bryce Hall, and I didn't look back down again, and Dan let me know that I was making a mistake, and I refreshed my window, and it changed the name to L'Jarius Sneed. So welcome, L'Jarius Sneed. What are we looking at on the top of the board? What are the top 10 guys on your board right now? Or
there's
top
a bunch.
5? Because
we're trying to figure out positional at this point. There's a couple of corners, a couple of defensive linemen. Oh, there's one name that I hadn't thought of. Matt Bradley and a guy that can probably line up as a D end. You've seen him play with a little bit of power. Comes from the Utah program that I think has got, what are they, 3rd most draft selections this particular draft. Any impression of him?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you're talking about a guy with, I think decent size, pretty good athleticism. And at this point, pretty decent value. I mean, I think I saw a lot of people, having him pegged as maybe a 3rd or a 4th round guy. So you're looking at the 5th. It's pretty decent value, and that is a position of, at least the Chiefs need some depth in numbers. So I wouldn't. A move on the defensive line, a pass catcher, neither one of those would surprise me right now.
Harms, anything in particular you saw with the Nye that you liked or didn't?
Yeah, I think that he's definitely more of a 4-3 kind of rotational end. I think that his length is going to be an issue in the NFL. He's not as long as a guy like Frank Clark, who can really use his arms and anchor and jabs to help him get inside pressure and stuff like that. But he does play with unrelenting force and that kind of thing. So he's all the effort kind of thing, an effort guy. So I think he could definitely be a rotational guy in this system. Just kind of use him in situations to help shield him from that length issue.
Yeah, I think one guy that I'm not interested in is Curtis Weaver. I've heard a lot of talk about him going here soon. Danilo, you look like you might have had an idea there.
Yeah, I went and looked at the board to see who's still available. It might be a little high for him, but we don't have any picks left in this draft. So it's now or never kind of thing, unless we trade some players. Mm-hmm. The defensive end, the edge out of Michigan State, Kenny Willekes, his hustle reminds me of Max Crosby last year, and that guy just came in and tore it up. And it was like, the certain things you're like, I don't know if he measures up right this way or that way. Some guys are just football players. Some guys don't care what the tape says. They go out there and they wreak havoc. And I feel like he could be one of those guys, and his motor is nonstop. You're not gonna waste a rep with that guy in the field.
He's one of Terez Baylor's juice guys, and I can't argue with the effort. The fact that he's barely taller than Sherman and 5 pounds heavier, I think that's an issue. But hey, you got to try hard when you got to try hard. So
who was the white fullback for the Atlanta Falcons? His name back in the Super Bowl day. And I remember Jamal Anderson was like, this guy's going to block for me. And then he got into first practice with the guy and started watching him break face masks. And it was like, oh, okay, he'll be fine.
Yes, I'll take a blocker. Thank you very much. What an idea.
You can do that.
Well, it looks like the pick's in. I'm really interested to see what comes here.
Any prediction there, Ryan?
I think it is Mike Danna. Is
Yep,
that
that's
what
what
I'm
I'm
reading?
Really?
seeing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I did not see that one coming. I didn't have him honestly with a draftable grade. Matt, do you recognize him? Have you done any research on him?
No, I'm gonna have to do my homework because I can't speak. I can't really talk intelligently about him right now, so I'll have to do my homework.
We'll
what I
put
think
it on
happened?
the Michigan fan then.
Yeah.
I know Harms has watched him.
Luckily for me, I have a little bit of experience in the field here. No, Mike Danna was a transfer last year. I don't remember exactly where he came from, but he was a Division II school, and he piled up sack numbers there. Obviously, coming from a more Division II to a Michigan Division I program, you're going to find some problems, especially because Michigan's defensive ends and defensive line have been pumping out, prospect after prospect. So it's hard to get on the field. But yeah, he's a definitely more of a power guy. I don't see here if I can see where his measurements are. I think he's
6'2",
around 6'2" ish. Yeah,
32
so
and a half.
he's got some length to him.
Yeah, the arm length is a little iffy,
Yeah.
but hey, we've seen worse, right?
Yeah, no, he's going to play with power. He's not necessarily a speed guy, but I think they're looking for a guy that they can get some upside with. And since he's got those sack numbers in somewhere, that's probably what they're going for here. More of an upside pick that, like Danilo said about, this is our last one, so they're going to go ahead and take somebody that they think has upside, and that's probably what this is.
Danilo, you like this?
Compared to how would you compare him to Chase Winovich last year, Dan Harms?
I mean, Chase Winovich is a different kind of player. That guy,
Yeah.
If we talk about unrelenting force, I have never seen him not hustle, getting off the field, out of the tunnel. That guy's got energy to spare. And I was a big Chase Winovich fan trying to get him onto the Chiefs somehow, but it just wasn't meant to be. It's not the same kind of guy.
Right. I'm gonna watch some reel on this guy because you are asking about what they thought of this guy and how much on their radar he was. I didn't know this was a human being that lived on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
So I need to take a look at this tape real quick.
Yeah, do
And
it.
see if I get any kind of feel for him at all as a football player.
Matt, I know you had a comment to it. Are you going towards the next thing or thoughts on Danna?
No, I mean, just as far as Danna goes, looking at the scouting reports on him, I mean, yeah, you really have to go back to the Central Michigan days to see the production. But, his redshirt junior year, 2018, 9.5 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, and he was first team All MAC. Hey, that's a decent resume.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily blow anybody's doors off, and that's probably why he was, so lowly graded at Michigan after the transfer season. But, I think you hit it on the head there. This is a developmental pick. This is a guy that they were not willing to take the chance that would be a priority free agent. That's their last pick. Looking for somebody with upside, and as we talked about, they need some numbers on the defensive line, and he's not going to be asked to come in and be an impact starter. They've got the ability to have him learn from behind some people, maybe put on a little bit of weight, a little bit of strength. It's probably worth a lottery pick, but. Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't expect anything in 2020 from him.
Yeah, and at this point, everything really is. So this moves to what we were talking about in the last stream, that the transition now for the Chiefs, who get a little bit of an early jump. They clearly didn't think he would be there as UDFA, but now they get to attack all the rest that they do feel will be there. I don't mind anything at this point. A lot of folks talking about Thaddeus Moss. If he doesn't get drafted, I'm fine to bring another tight end, especially one that can block into camp. I'd love to see that. Matt, targets in positional that you think might still be a little bit weak.
Yeah, I think tight ends is one of those positions that are going to look for some numbers. Yeah. Cornerback, I think, is a group that they're going to bring in some numbers as well. Wide receiver, offensive line. I mean, they're going to probably bring in, I would guess, about 7 to 10 undrafted free agents, and it'll be a sprinkling of a little bit of everybody. Probably every position, but quarterback is a possibility. It's really the only place they don't really need numbers. So I think you're going to see a little bit of everybody. But like you said, I mean, the big thing is that they do now to kind of get the chance to get a jump start on that with the whole personnel group. They don't have to be worrying about the draft the rest of the way. You can't sign anybody until after the draft is over, but you can talk to agents and let them know and say, hey, your guy goes undrafted. We want him. And that's something a lot of teams can't do right now because they're still worried about the draft.
Yeah, and they have to be focused on it because this is where the hay gets made. Britt Chief, welcome to the stream. Haven't talked to you in a bit. Hope you're doing well. I'm really keen to see what they can finagle and who actually drops out of this draft. At this point, I think that's where they can find a couple of gems yet. If I remember correctly, was Kemp drafted, Matt?
Who was that?
Kemp?
Marcus Kemp? He was not. He was undrafted.
Okay, so, I mean, you could see how, especially, again, like we talked about last time, for Dave Tobe, this time of day, there's a lot of options that guys that can probably contribute to what he's trying to get done that aren't going to go off the board on draft day.
Absolutely. I mean, Dan Sorensen, undrafted guy. I mean, you can find impact players, especially guys that can make an impact on special teams, and undrafted guys are going to make the team every year, and probably even more so this year. There's a possibility, I would say, because there's a fine line between these 5th, 6th, 7th round picks and the priority free agents that's a little bit different than the past because teams just don't have as much information. Mm-hmm. So you might see some guys that are maybe going late in the draft who might surprise you a bit, and there might be some guys that are undrafted free agents that maybe they should have gone in the draft.
And we were talking about Bradley and I. He just went 2 picks later. So go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm looking up Mike Danna a little bit here. 6'2" and change, 261 when this thing was posted, which was February 8th. I just saw some footage of him running away from everybody in Ann Arbor with a fumble return, and the dude jumps out of the building, hit 42-inch vertical. So hands up, get to the passer. I think, there's some potential there. That guy could be molded into something with the right guys around him, and he's got a few of those guys on this Chiefs roster. So
yeah,
here we go. We'll see what we do with this clay, see if we can mold it.
I just want to take a moment, fellas, because it's finally happened at pick 180. Akeem Adeniji, welcome to the NFL. I'll see you at camp. See you at camp when I go spy on the Broncos. I'm sorry you ended up in Denver, but that's the way that it goes. So had to take that moment since Mizzou's gotten what?
I have a shirt flash. I have a shirt flash moment too. I have a shirt flash moment as well.
Easy what we're flashing.
On day one when we did this. On day one, right? No, this shirt's staying on. Don't worry. I wouldn't do that to anybody. On day one when we drafted together, guys, this is the jersey I wore. And we did indeed take a running back. And this man right here set the bar pretty high. And This is the number that CEH is going to wear. So nothing like putting it on yourself. Go get it.
Good for him.
Yeah, our old buddy Seth Kaiser's rolling around in his basement there, cringing to death. But
right,
if you're going to try to live up to somebody and you're a first-round pick, Jamal was taken in the 3rd. Take that pressure, and if you're going to take that on, more power to you. You got to have some wide shoulders for that. Matt evidently had to jump to the stream from the team. We will get his reaction again later. I'm hopeful for CEH. I wouldn't have chosen to wear Jamal's number, but that's just me. I also am one of those. I'm not one of those that puts a whole lot of clout in numbers. I mean, you have to be, to me, a severe case of not only respect around the league, but you got to be a Hall of Famer. Derek Thomas's numbers should not be worn again, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I'm there on Jamal. You know what I mean?
What about Tony? I keep seeing these 4th-string tight ends in Kansas City wearing 88.
Yeah,
and it bugs me. At least be a starter. At least be a 2. At least be this parade of like 4th-string guys, and God love them. But wear an 89, bud. Wear an 89. Just let's lay off the Tony Gonzalez number. It's a little bit slammish. But I mean, I wish Clyde all. I respect the heck out of it as a former player. That's like he took that straight talk from EB the other day of we're going to go to work now. We're going to get serious, bro. Like I think he took that to heart and said, "I'll see her bring the hard work, and I'll raise you. I'm going to wear 25. So bring it on, coach." So let's see what happens.
Push me. Gavin Snow, thank you for updating me. I must have been looking at the board wrong. I feel much better with the Akeem Adeniji, the lone Jayhawk drafted going to Cincy rather than Denver.
Go Bengals.
Thanks for fixing me up on that one. I'm glad that you got one, especially with all the Mizzou fans in the chat and with Matt on the line. You guys should hear what Matt talks about Mizzou when you guys are not on the line. I don't think they're going to trade back in. Do you guys? This is going to be the last stream for the day. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I would assume so. If they wanted to make moves, then they probably would have done that and gotten some extra picks already. And I feel like they're pretty comfortable with where they're at. The guys they have, the guys they brought in, they want to get to work on bringing some UDFAs and priority free agents in. So I think they're probably done for the day.
I think, what we talked about the other day. Oh gosh, wow, that's my train of thought because I just saw a comment by Britt Chief. He says, "Loving the arms race in the AFC West. Broncos and Raiders want to be us." That's true. That's the truth. Remember we were talking today,
for
Ryan?
1 second before he jumps out of here.
Good.
Brad, we're going to need to do one of these streams. We're going to try it cross Atlantic here pretty good.
Ooh.
It's worked for us all weekend long. So, Brad, maybe next week we'll wrap up the draft and we'll get you on here as well. So go ahead, Daniil. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Cool. No, for sure. I was going to say, I remember the other day, I don't remember if we said it online or if we talked off camera. We were both wondering if perhaps that the whole plan all along was to stay with 5 picks because maybe they have, which would mean Chris Jones is staying. And maybe Veach is like, we don't have enough money for more than 4 or 5 guys. So let's just sit with our picks. Let's get this going and let's keep Chris in house. And let's, what is it? Run it back. Is that the phrase they're saying now? Run it back.
Oh yeah.
Hashtag. I'll tell you this: when they didn't move him for the first round pick, I was certain Chris Jones will be here. The question is now, can they reach an agreement to get his cap number down so that maybe they can go out and try to sign somebody maybe at the corner spot that has some experience? I think this puts a little bit more pressure on trying to get the deal done because I don't think either party wants to play on the tag.
Yeah, I agree with that. And with Brett Veach saying in his press conference talking about free agent corners, you got to have money to bring in free agent corners. And, if you can get that deal done with Jones, then you can free up some money to bring in a free agent corner or two. So, yeah, I think that this kind of has to get done, at least in the next, couple of weeks, just to give them some frame of reference to get everybody in camp and on the same page. So we'll see. I definitely think that he's going to stay with us, though.
Yeah. I don't think they have an option at this point. They put so much time and they've surpassed a possible replacement for him.
Yeah,
at least for this coming season.
There's one unexpected casualty to the coronavirus right here. Chris Jones leverage for holding out a camp. it's on the ventilator right now.
There is that.
Yeah.
Man. I would like to see them get some traction soon. I would hope that this whole process. You're fine. I hope that the process gets it going. I think they're still under the guise of. I've heard several people in the last 48 hours start referring to a shortened camp, which means we're not talking about opening the first week of August anymore. I think that's interesting. And for those of you in the chat. I don't anticipate them trading anything to get back into this draft. I think they're very comfortable with where they are. They actually passed on some players that I think could have really helped them. So they're pretty comfortable with their roster. They're going to go after the UDFAs. I don't anticipate anything else. If it does, we'll jump back in and let you know what we think. But at this point, I don't expect that. So final thoughts on the draft. Danilo, go first.
Yeah, I wanted to say one thing was I wanted to ask you guys. There was a 2-parter. Now I've only remembered one part because my brain just keeps pinging from thought to thought. What is there a player out there that you guys would love to see this guy fall to be a UDFA, and if so, what position, what guy? There's one guy.
I got to look. If you got go for it. Bassey out of Wake Forest. I think he's a decent nickel. He's really athletic. He was a leader, captain. I just think he's a little undersized, and I don't know about learning the defense. So there's one. Dan?
I think I'll go with what you said about Moss. I'm not sure if anyone sees him as a draftable tight end, and I'm all about bringing in. And if you're going to bring in a number 2 tight end that can actually block, and if you want to run more, like Andy Reid likes his 2 tight end sets, get someone out there who can block. I'm all for that. Next year I'm going to be much more prepared for all of this, like with less, more guys. But maybe if a Lavert Hill falls out, I don't see that happening. But if he does, then I could see them taking a chance on a guy who plays, in mostly man coverage and is pretty sticky in that aspect. So someone like that.
Yeah. for all you Mizzou fans, Cale Garrett, I think, is an option. Plays that off linebacker. I think he could play a Sorensen role, and he is very good at getting at the ball, PBUs. I think he had a good number of interceptions as well, so he's making it pay off. There's somebody for everybody out in Columbia. Danilo?
I just want to say a quick shout to the chat. I never gave a thought on Snead. I love it. I chatted with Dan really briefly on Twitter. I love the speed, the length. I think he's going to be a press corner for us at some point, maybe start off as a gunner on special teams. Cole Kelleher. Yeah, I have my YouTube, if you don't mind me throwing it in there, Ryan, is look for my name, Danilo DiGiulio, but you can also find me on Twitch as @ThunderDan88. And for me, the pick that I would love to see fall, I don't think he will, is running back Micah Warren, the second out of Cincinnati. He's got more measurables like the size of Damian Williams, and I think he might even be a little bit faster. I watched his tape and Jonathan Taylor's tape back to back one night in the process over the months, and it was like I was watching the same guy. If the colors weren't different, just once he breaks through, usually it's hammer into somebody, break a tackle, and then just jet away from everyone. Again, the competition maybe wasn't the same level, but it still shouldn't fall off that much, and I'd like to see him as a camp body running back if there's a camp. Oh, and I wanted to ask you guys if you had heard about Sean Payton and what he had said about see you in the summertime, guys. He's not going to have anything going on.
Yeah. He was one of the people I was referring to saying that probably camp is going to be shortened or delayed in some way.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see just exactly what happens. I think Dan and I were both pretty high on Snead. I love his length. He is the number one guy at safety in the athletic matrix. And while we were away, I went and ran him through as a corner, and he came back number 2 behind Okuda. So that tells you about his athleticism, especially with a 4.37. He's right on par there with Ruggs that he's going to have to cover quite a bit. Stevie Keys, thank you for the super chat and the donation. And my wife says thank you as well. I'm down here in the basement studio, so she doesn't have to deal with me. So there's a plus side for her too. That said, there's a couple other guys I just want to throw names out as UDFAs. One being Freddie Swain popped on tape to me a couple of times. I think he could be a gunner. He's got great speed, smaller receiver guy. I don't think Colin Johnson gets drafted.
He already did.
Did he?
Yep.
The wide receiver, he's already gone. Yeah.
Jacksonville took him.
That's what they get. Okay. He'll get up to speed here in another couple of months. Lipscomb, did he go? I think he might be another gunner type. I think he could be a gunner. I think he's got to work on routes. I like little LaMichael Hasty, the Baylor tailback. He's small, he's Helaire small, but he could be another guy that tries to make some hay on special teams. I don't think Jake Hansen or Cal Throckmorton went. Those are also UDFA offensive linemen I think they might want to bring in. Looks like Stenberg went. Did Javon Leak go from Maryland, the tailback?
I have not been keeping up 100%.
I know. They're going so fast now. I'm losing it. Doesn't look like it.
I don't think so.
So there's a few other options, you guys. I appreciate all of you three being here and Matt. And for all of you fans out there, thank you for joining us all weekend. I mean, this is like the middle of day 3, and we're 300 people in. You guys rock.
Awesome.
We appreciate the support. We will continue doing this. Over the summer, we're still going to have some get-togethers. I'll still be doing the Monday night Q&As, and we'll have some film work for you now that we have people to look at. So keep that in mind. I appreciate it Bryce Jackson, if you're going to throw a super chat at me, I'm going to have to address it before we sign off. So thank you, Bryce. Guys, letters or numbers? Let's do grades. Okay, letters.
Let's do letters. Yeah, that's what let's do letters.
Danilo, what do you think overall?
Oh, make me go first. Wow. It's weird because there's so much injury has a lot to do with my grade because I didn't know much about young Mr. Niang till I watched some of his tape, and I heard that he didn't give up squat to Chase Young and Nick Bosa, but if the guy can't stay healthy, it's just a big tease. But I mean, I saw him driving holes open and making lanes for his backs, and if he can pan out, Willie Gay keeps his nose clean, which I think he will. I think he's gonna have the leadership in that room to keep him on the straight and narrow. Mm-hmm. Starting to love CEH more and more. Like the Legarius pick a lot. And the last one, I mean, who knows? It's a crapshoot. I would say B- or to a B.
I can live with that. Dan?
But mostly because of players that were available that they didn't grab and then were gone. Like losing Malik Harrison when you could add that tandem of the sideline. Like Willie Gator's not a sideline to sideline linebacker. He's Gatorade table to Gatorade table. That guy's just crazy fast. So having him and then having Malik be the thumper would have been nice. But yeah, I'd say B to B minus. Go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You can talk. I'm not here to interrupt people and try to throw them off their game. But
oh, that's my job.
No,
I talk too much.
We all do at some point or one point or another. But based strictly on a value perspective, I'm going to give it closer to like a B plus, A minus. I think that the way that they approach this draft is 100%, best player available on their board, and the way that it's very difficult to always draft best player available, because if you just draft best player available, sometimes you're left with things you really desperately need, and you're just picking a bunch of guys that you don't need. So it's I like their aggressiveness. They realized that they needed to upgrade at running back, linebacker, and offensive line and for the future. And that's something that I think that they did on days 1 and 2 that really stuck with me. The value for Niang is great in the 3rd round, and I think that he projects to be a legitimate starter at tackle in the NFL. And obviously Danna is a 100% projection pick. There's not enough tape on him in college to really say he's going to do one thing or another. But I will say this: he did have in his 2 seasons in 2017 and 2018, he had somewhere between like 115 pressures. 105 pressures and 17 sacks and 605 pass rushes. So that's something that they're definitely looking at that projection area. So Snead is a great pick for me. I think that he's going to develop into a really good corner. So yeah, I'm going to go a B plus, A minus on value.
Well, I'll tell you this: I like Danna. You can't discount everybody for where they played. If that would have happened, then Jared Allen would never have been in the NFL. Weber State is not someplace that gets drafted that much. But so I'll cross my fingers. And Dan, like you said, it's a developmental pick. I'm perfectly fine with that. I love Snead. He was on my board to be taken anyway. My only quibble with this draft, and I don't know that I'm even going to give it a letter grade yet, because I usually wait a couple of seasons. If they all pan out, this could be a B grade. Right now, because you didn't get enough help in the secondary, in my opinion, I'd probably be more around a C, but I'll hold my opinion until we know something about these players. But I will say this: I feel like we have reaffirmed everything that we knew about Andy Reid and Brett Veach in terms of working together, being on the same page. And when they see something they want, they go get it. So I'm going to believe in their conviction. It's gotten us to a Super Bowl so far, so I can't really complain too much. I hope you guys feel the same way, and I hope all of you in the chat do. Rock Chalker, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. I'm glad you guys were here all weekend. If there's an emergency, something or other, we'll jump in. But for this, I think we'll sign off for the weekend. I'll have more this week. We'll do the Q&A on Monday. We'll try to get these guys back on sometime soon as we all kind of take a breath and see when the offseason is going to pick up. I thank you guys for all your help in being here this weekend. Make sure you get everything from Dan Harms at Arrowhead Guys. Get everything from Danilo at Chiefs Wire, Draft Wire. And
one thing I just wanted to say, if you guys aren't done with this after 647 hours of draft coverage, I'll be doing a recap on my Twitch channel later on this evening. Just look for @ThunderDan88.
Rock and roll. And we appreciate you guys being here, being part of this community at RGR Football. We have plenty coming for you. The memberships are coming. I have a huge launch that's going to come later in the summer. These guys are going to be part of it. You're looking at the trio right now of the RGR crew. You'll see more input from them, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great year. Thank you for enjoying the draft, and for everyone who got into the Matrix and the draft guys, much appreciated. We'll be back with you. You guys enjoy your weekend. We'll catch you next time.
Go Chiefs.